Art reflects life, and because life involves risk, artists must be prepared to explore their personal and professional boundaries to achieve their vision. Pat Hickman is a fiber artist whose vision was selected for a challenging commission of public art, one conceived in fiber and cast in metal. The goal was to create a welcoming entrance for the new Maui Arts and Cultural Center in Kahului. The process would involve many lives and many risks.
I graduated from UC Berkeley in 1977, and at that point I started working with gut. I was intrigued with the membrane, the thin membrane, wanting to use it both as a skin, which stretched and is kind of elastic, and I stretch it over structure, reed structure primarily, or I use it as a linear element to do non-loom textile techniques with, like netting, looping, lace techniques. Sometimes I call them baskets. I like the quality of light in that material and the rawness of the material and the tautness, the way it dries. It's really under tension. There are qualities about it that I'm real drawn to. I was one of 3 artists selected to compete for this commission. The initial process, I think we had 2 or 3 months in which to come up with a design. I decided to work with nets as an image, partly because I love netting. I love netting as a structure. I'm interested in the parts of nets, the knots, the holes, the lines. I wanted to play with nets. I am interested in how humble and simple the technique is. It's a functional fishing net. On the other hand, here it's been used as the structural background for Hawaiian feather capes, those elegant, wonderful capes, where the nets are so dense, it's just a mass of knots. In determining my design, I projected images of nets on full-scale sheets of paper that I then drew. I photographed those, Xeroxed those, played with scale, collaged them, just really played on paper. Finally, then came up with the exact design that I was interested in, and I was awarded the commission.
Pat translated her designs from paper to miniature models and eventually to polystyrene cloth, intended to burn away in the casting process. When finished, the full-size gates needed to retain the openness and natural qualities of fiber netting.
Living in Hawaii, it's the first place where I've ever felt that the inside and the outside were pretty much the same. I wanted something that was really minimal in terms of structure. Almost not there, of almost like a membrane or a lace curtain or some things, but not to shut out, but really to invite in. And these net gates will face the mountains, but are also very close to the sea. Netting is part of life here. It has been for a very long time. Wherever the land touches the sea, people have used nets, and there's a universality about that. There are images that I bring to this from my own experience, and my hope is, as an artist, imagining a viewer standing in front of the gates, they will recognize the familiarity of these nets. They will see in them, from their own experience, what they bring to it.
Public art invites public scrutiny. The progress of this important commission was monitored at many stages.
This is the one that I've been asked to replace, which is the companion to the burned one. And these were the arms of this grid work that were so problematic before the sausage. Well, as part of my agreement with the Maui Community Arts and Cultural Center, I have a series of meetings scheduled with the Art Advisory Panel, or the committee. each member of that committee brings something very different to it. I felt that they were genuinely excited by what they saw. The comments, for the most part, have been helpful. I think I have tried to listen. Sometimes there's been resistance, and I haven't always agreed and have felt that those were picky comments and that they don't understand my process. And as a fiber artist, this is the way I work. This comes down, there'll be one more knot here, and I have to thin this out a lot, I know. And I have reservations about the idea of art by committee. The thing that I kept trying to hold on most was simply that I didn't want to compromise my design, my aesthetic vision in terms of what I was trying for in this. And in the end, I don't think that happened. I had to fight very hard to preserve certain parts of it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of the process. I think we didn't always agree. On the other hand, I really felt that the gates will be better because of something that was said. And it had to be a team effort. There are lots of risks involved for both me and for the Maui Community Arts and Cultural Center. They could have picked a sculptor, a well-known sculptor who's made lots of gates. Instead, they took a chance. They wanted to work with a fiber artist. Risks for me of unknown materials, of unknown scale, of lack of huge warehouse studio space, working much bigger than I've worked before, trying to figure out how to do that. I've learned an enormous amount. For the most part, I work in a scale that is something that I can hold in my hand. So it's not that I haven't pushed limits of scale before, but this is beyond what I've pushed before. The risks for me are a whole new material. I have never worked with this foam. It's a very different material from gut. You know, it's not a material that I really expect to work with a whole lot more. I've sort of reached the limit of foam in my life, but I don't know. I mean, just as I never expected to be in the business of designing a gate, I'm not going to say I'll never work with this again, because I do think that there's something intriguing about it.